Cecily, surely such a utilitarian occupation as the watering of flowers is rather more Moulton's duty than yours, especially at a moment when intellectual pleasures await you. Your German grammar is on the table. Pray, open it to page 15. We will repeat yesterday's lesson.
But I don't like German. It isn't at all a becoming language. I know perfectly well that I look quite plain after my German lesson.
Child, you know how anxious your guardian is that you should improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he was leaving for town yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German when he leaves for town.
Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes he's so serious that I think he cannot be quite well.
Your guardian enjoys the best of health. His gravity of demeanor is to be commended in one so comparatively young as he. I know of no one with a greater sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he always looks a little bored when we three are together.
Cecily, I'm surprised at you. Mr. Worthing has many troubles in his life. Idle merriment and trivialities would be out of place in his conversation. And you must remember his constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come down here sometimes. We might have a good influence over him, Miss Prism. I'm sure you certainly would. You know German and geology and things like that influence a man very much.
I do not think that even I could have any effect on a character that, according to his own brother's admission, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Indeed, I am not sure I would desire to reclaim him. I am not in favor of this modern mania for turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him reap. Cecily, you must put away your diary. I really don't see why I should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is the diary we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles the things that never happened and couldn't possibly have happened. I believe that memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Moody sends us.
Do not speak slightingly about the 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever you are! I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily, and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. And was your novel ever published?
Alas, no. The manuscript was, unfortunately, abandoned. I use the word in the sense of lost or mislaid. To your work, child, these speculations are profitless.
What? I see dear Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Dr. Chasuble? Oh, this is indeed a pleasure.
How are we this morning? Prism, you are, I trust, well.
Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to have a short stroll with you in the park, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I didn't mention anything about a headache.
No, dear Miss Prism, I know that. I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Indeed, I was thinking about that and not my German lesson when the rector came in.
I hope, Cecily, you are not inattentive.
I'm afraid I am.
That is strange. Were I fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphor was drawn from bees. I see Mr. Worthing has not yet returned to town.
We
spend his Sunday in London. He is not one of those whose sole aim in life is employment, as by all accounts that unfortunate young man his brother seems to be. But I must not keep the area into people any longer.
Area? My name is Letitia, Doctor.
The classical illusion, merely. Drawn from the pagan authors. So you both no doubt at evensong.
I think, dear Doctor, I will take a stroll with you. I find I have a headache after all, and the walk may do it good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We might go as far as the schools and back.
That would be delightful. Cecily, you will read your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the fall of the ruby you may omit. It is somewhat too sensational. Even these metallic problems have their melodramatic side.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has just driven over from the station. He has brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, Suite 4, the Albany to Dublin. Uncle Jack's brother! Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. I mentioned that you and Miss Prism were in the garden. He said he was anxious to speak to you privately for a moment.
Pray ask Mr. Ernest Worthing to come out here. I suppose you had better talk to the housekeeper about getting a room for him.
Yes, miss.
I have never met any really wicked person before. I feel rather frightened. I'm so afraid that he will look just like everyone else. He does.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
You are under some strange mistake. I'm not little. In fact, I believe I'm more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. You, as I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother, my cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
No, I'm not really wicked at all, cousin Cecily. You mustn't think that I'm wicked.
Well, if you are not, then you've certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you've not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy.
Well, I have been rather reckless.
Oh, I'm so glad.
In fact, now that you mention it, I have been rather bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that. Although I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
It is much pleasanter being here with you, cousin Cecily.
I can't understand how you've come to be here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back till Monday afternoon.
That is a terrible disappointment to me, for I'm obliged to go up by the first train on Monday morning. Business appointment I'm anxious to miss.
Did you visit anywhere but in London?
No, the appointment is in London.
Well, I know, of course, how important it is for one not to keep one's business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the beauty in life. But I still think you'd better wait till Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to talk to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
You're emigrating. He's gone up to buy your outfit.
Oh, well, I certainly won't let Jack buy my outfit. He has no taste in neckties at all.
Well, he said at dinner on Wednesday night that you would have to choose between this world and the next world. I don't think you require neckties at all, actually. He's sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die. And the accounts that I've received of this world and the next world, and especially of Australia, well, Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me. So.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that. Which is why I would like you to reform me. You might make that your mission if you don't mind, cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I have no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind me reforming myself this afternoon?
It is rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I feel better already.
But you are looking a little worse.
Well, that is because I'm hungry.
How thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Might I have a buttonhole first? I find that I never have an appetite at all unless I have a buttonhole first.
Yellow rose or a red rose?
I'd sooner have a red rose, Cousin Cecily.
Why?
Because you are like a red rose.
I don't think it can be quite right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
Well, then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare.
They are a snare that every sensible man would like to be caught in.
I don't think I should like to catch a sensible man. I should know what to talk to him about.
You are too much alone, Dr. Chasuble. You should get married. A misanthrope I can understand. A womanthrope, never.
Believe me, I hardly deserve so neologistic a phrase. The precept, as well as the practice of the primitive church, was distinctly against matrimony.
That is obviously the reason why the primitive church has not lasted up to the present day. And you do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a permanent public temptation. Men should be more careful. This very celibacy leads weaker vessels astray.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No married man is ever attractive, except to his wife.
Often I've been told, not even to her.
That depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can be depended on. Ripeness can be trusted. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. My metaphor was drawn from, fruit. Now where is Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us as far as the schools.
Mr. Worthing,
Mr. Worthing?
this is indeed a surprise. We did not expect you until Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garb of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother,
More shameful debts and extravagances?
Still leading his life of pleasure.
dead.
Your brother, Ernest?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him! I trust he will profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, I offer my sincere condolence. At least you have the consolation of knowing that you were always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest, he had his faults. But it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad, in Paris, in fact. I received a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so shall he reap.
Charity, dear Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am peculiarly susceptible to draughts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he seemed to have expressed a desire to be buried abroad, in Paris, in fact.
In Paris. I fear that hardly suggests a very serious state of mind at the last. You will no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to the tragic domestic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be adapted to nearly any occasion. Joyful, or as in the present case, distressing. I have preached it at harvest celebrations, christenings, confirmations, days of humiliation, and festal days. The last time I delivered it was in the cathedral as a charity sermon on behalf of the Society for the Prevention of Discontent among the upper orders. The bishop, who was present, was much struck by some of the analogies I drew.
Ah, that reminds me, Dr. Chasuble, you mentioned christenings, I believe. You know how to christen all right? I mean, you are continually christening, aren't you?
It is, as I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I have often spoken to the poorer classes on this subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
But is there any particular infant in whom you are interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was, I believe, unmarried, was he not?
Oh, yes.
People who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
But it is not for any child, dear doctor. I am very fond of children. No, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself. This afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you have been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
Have you any grave doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to have. Of course, I don't know if it would bother you in any way, or if you think I am perhaps a little too old now.
Not at all. The sprinkling, indeed the immersion of adults, is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
You need have no apprehension. Sprinkling is all that is necessary, or I think advisable. Our weather is so changeable. At what hour would you wish the ceremony performed?
Oh, I might trot around about 5 if that would suit you.
Perfectly, perfectly. In fact, I have 2 similar ceremonies to perform at that time. A case of twins in one of the outlying regions on your own estate. Lord Jenkins, the carter, most hard-working man.
I don't think it would be much fun being christened along with other babies. I think it would be childish. Would 5:30 do?
Admirably, admirably. And now, dear Mr. Worthing, I will intrude no longer into a house of sorrow. I would only beg you not to be too much bowed down by grief. What seem to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, I'm so pleased to see you back. That were horrid clothes you've got on. Do go and change them.
Cecily!
My child.
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? Do look happy. You look as if you had a toothache, and I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is waiting for you in the dining room? Your brother!
Who?
Your brother Ernest. You arrived about half an hour ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. You wouldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll go tell him to come out, and you will shake hands with him. Won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
After we had all been resigned to his loss, his return seems to me peculiarly distressing.
My brother is in the dining room? I don't know what it all means. I think it is absurd. Good heavens!
Brother John, I've come down from town to tell you that I'm very sorry for all the trouble I've given you, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you are not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here disgraceful, and he knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling one who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
He's been talking about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have him talking about Bunbury or about anything else. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course, I admit that the faults were all on my side. However, I think that Brother John's coldness to me is peculiarly painful. I expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially since this is the first time I've ever been here.
Uncle Jack, if you do not shake hands with Ernest, I shall never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
It is pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? I think we might leave the two brothers together.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prison. My little task of reconciliation is over.
You have done a beautiful action today, dear child.
We must not be premature in our judgments.
I feel very happy.
Algy, you young scoundrel, you have got to get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any Bunburying here.
I put Mr. Earnest things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right.
What?
Mr. Earnest's luggage, sir. I've unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage.
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman, order the dog cart at once. Mr. Earnest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I haven't been called back to town at all.
Yes, you have.
I haven't heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. Why on earth don't you go up and change? It's perfectly childish your being in deep mourning for someone who's really going to stay with you as a guest for a whole week. I call it grotesque.
You are not staying with me for a whole week, as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave by the 4:05 train.
I certainly won't leave you so long as you are in mourning. You would be most unfriendly. I suppose you would stay with me if I was in mourning. I would think it most unkind if you didn't.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you don't take too long. I have never seen anyone take so long to dress with such little result.
Well, that is better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to leave by the 4:05, and I hope you will have a pleasant journey back to town. This Bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
I think it has been a wonderful success. I am in love with Cecily, and that is everything. But I must see her again so that I may be able to arrange for another Bunbury. Ah, there she is.
Oh, I merely came back to water the flowers. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
No, he's going to send me away.
Then have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. This is a very painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is at the door, sir.
hope, Cecily, I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? I'd give anything to look at it, may I?
Oh, no. It is merely a very young girl's record of her own feelings and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I do hope you will order a copy. Pray don't stop, Ernest. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I am quite ready for more. Don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you. Wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should say that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily,
The dark art is waiting, sir.
tell her to come round at the same hour next week.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack would be very annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week at the same hour.
Oh, I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anyone in the whole world except for you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly boy, of course. Why, we've been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very good at bad, you, of course, formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And, of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One thinks there must be something in him after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest.
Darling, and when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last, when out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you. And that dear old tree there. The next day, I bought this little ring in your name. And this is the little bangle with the true lover's knot that I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It is the excuse I've always given for your leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters.
My letters. But, my own Cecily, I haven't written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener.
Do let me read them, Cecily.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote to me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them without crying.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Well, of course it was. On the 22nd of last March. You can read the entry if you like. Today I decided to break off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is best to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But why did you break it off? What did I done? I have done nothing, Cecily. I'm very hurt to hear that you broke off our engagement, particularly when the weather was so charming.
Well, it could hardly have been a really serious engagement week was out.
What an angel you are, Cecily.
My dear romantic boy. I hope your hair grows naturally. Does it?
Yes, and with a little help from others.
I'm so glad.
You won't break off our engagement ever again, will you, Cecily?
Well, I don't think I could break it off, now that we've actually met. Besides, there is the question of your name.
Yes, of course.
You mustn't laugh at me, darling, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name is Earnest. There seems to be something in that name that inspires me with absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest.
But, my own Cecily, you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
But what other name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
But my own dear, sweet, loving little darling, you don't mean to say that... I really can't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It's not at all a bad name. In fact, it's rather an aristocratic name. Half the fellows who get into the bankruptcy courts are called Algernon. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algie, couldn't you still love me?
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I'm afraid I would not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in all the practices and ceremonials of the church.
Oh, yes. Dr. Chaswell is a most learned man. He's never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him on a most important christening. I mean on a most important business.
Oh?
I shan't be more than half an hour.
Considering that we've been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal into my diary.
Miss Fairfax has called to see Mr. Worthing. On very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went over in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray ask the lady to come out here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon. And you can bring tea. Miss Fairfax. Probably one of the many good elderly women associated with Uncle Jack in some sort of philanthropic work in London. I don't think I like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew. Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. Something tells me we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong. How nice of you to like me so much after we've known each other for such a comparatively short time. Pray sit down. I may call you Cecily, may I not? With pleasure. And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you? If you wish. Then that is all quite settled, is it not? I hope so. Perhaps this would be a favourable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have heard of Papa, I suppose? I don't think so. Outside the family circle, Papa, I am glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for a man, and certainly once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system. So, do you mind my looking at you through my glasses? Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm very fond of being looked at. you also? No, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations. Indeed. Yes, my dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me. Your guardian? Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward. Oh, it is strange he never mentioned that he had a ward. How very secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. But now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you were, well, a little bit older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly, oh, pray do. I think that whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid. Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others. I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn, but did you say Ernest? Yes. Oh, this is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother. Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother. Oh, I'm sorry to say that they've not been on good speaking terms for a long time. Ah, that accounts for it. In fact, now that I think of it, I have never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian? Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his. I beg your pardon. There is no reason I should make a secret of it to you, Gwendolyn. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married. Dear Cecily, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest. I'm afraid you must be under some misconception. See, Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago. It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One must always have something sensational to read in the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it causes you any disappointment, but I am afraid I have the prior claim. It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical pain, but I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind. If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand. Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have gotten into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married. Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure. Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade. I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay tea here as usual, miss?
Yes, as usual. Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew? Oh, yes, a great many. One at the top of the hill's quite close, but you can see 5 counties. 5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds. Suppose newspapers are calling agricultural depression, is it not? I believe the aristocracy are suffering very much from it just at present. It is almost an epidemic amongst them, so I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax? Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea. Sugar? No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore. Cake or bread and butter? Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen in the best houses nowadays. And that, Miss Fairfax. You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked you most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far. To save my poor, innocent, trusty boy from the machinations of any other woman, there are no lengths to which I would not go. The moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right. It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood. Ernest,
Dear Gwendolen,
a moment. May I ask you if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
to dear little Cecily. Of course not. What could have put such a silly idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, may. I thought there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your shoulder is my dear guardian, Mr. John Worthing. I beg your pardon. This is Uncle Jack. Jack? Oh! Here is Ernest.
My own love.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolen.
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. You mean to Gwendolyn?
Of course not. What could have put such a silly idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may. I felt there was some error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief. Algernon Moncrief? Oh! You called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh! Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
Gross deception has been practiced on both of us. My poor wounded Cecily. My sweet wronged Gwendolyn. Oh! You will call me sister, will you not? There is just one question I should like to be allowed to ask my guardian. An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like to put to you. Where is your brother, Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother, Ernest. So, it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolen, Cecily, this is a very painful thing for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life I have ever been reduced to such a painful position. And I am really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. I never had a brother, and I have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Had you never a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
I am afraid it is quite clear, dear Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone. It is not a very pleasant position for a
I suppose?
Yes. And a perfectly wonderful Bunbury it is, too. The most wonderful Bunbury I ever had in my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to Bunbury here.
That is absurd. One has a right to Bunbury wherever one chooses. Every serious Bunburyist knows that.
Serious Bunburyist? Good heavens!
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. What on earth do you have to be serious about? I haven't the remotest idea. About everything, I should expect. You have such an absolutely trivial nature.
Well, my only small satisfaction in the whole of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down to the country quite as often as you used to, and a very good thing, too.
Your brother is looking a little off color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to disappear up to London as often as your wicked custom was, and not a bad thing either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I think your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible defense for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn, that is all. I love her.
I wanted to be engaged to Cecily, that is all. I adore her.
There's certainly no chance of your marrying Miss Cardew.
I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
Well, that is no business of yours.
If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It is very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only people like stockbrokers do that, and then merely at dinner parties.
How you can sit there, calmly eating muffins when we are in this horrible trouble, I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly heartless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would probably get on my cuffs.
I say it is heartless you're eating muffins at all under the circumstances.
When I am in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in great trouble, as anyone who knows me intimately will tell you, I refuse everything except food and drink. At the present moment, I am eating muffins because I am unhappy. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins.
Well, there is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy manner.
I wish you would have tea cake instead. I don't like tea cake.
I suppose a man may have his own muffins in his own garden.
But you just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly heartless of you under the circumstances. That is an entirely different thing.
Yes, but the muffins are the same.
Algy, I wish to goodness you would go.
You can't possibly ask me to go without having some dinner. I never go without my dinner. It's absurd. No one ever does, except for vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I have just made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened under the name of Earnest at 5:45.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I made arrangements this morning with Dr. Chasuble to be christened myself at 5:30. I naturally will take the name of Earnest. Gwendolyn would wish it. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There's no evidence that I have ever been christened by anybody. Indeed, I should think it extremely probable I never was. And so does Dr. Chasuble. It is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I haven't been christened in years.
Yes, but you have been christened. That is the important thing.
Quite so. So I know my constitution can stand it. I must say, if you're not sure about your ever having been christened, I think it very dangerous you're venturing on it now. It might make you very unwell. You can hardly have forgotten that someone very closely connected with you was very nearly carried off in Paris this week by a severe chill.
Yes, but you said yourself that a severe chill was not hereditary.
It used to be, I know, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in things.
That is nonsense. You are always talking nonsense.
Jack, you are at the muffins again. I wish to goodness you wouldn't. There are only two left. Besides, I said I was particularly fond of tea cake. Muffins. Muffins.
But I eat tea cake.
Why on earth would you allow tea cake to be served to your guests then? What ideas you have got of hospitality?
Algy, I wish to goodness you would go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
Because I haven't finished my tea yet.